You'll hear me all right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Good. Right, so what we've got here is the electric coupling block.
Yep.
So the voltage
Open
there is
door.
110 volts.
Mm-hmm.
You can name them again. It's like door release, interlock, brake continuity, power controller, brake steps, all those commands, PA included. The air is going through there.
Yep.
Yeah. Tight lock is currently open. So we want to see it shut. When you couple up properly, have a look behind there and you can see the butterflies sticking out.
Yeah.
If you want to put that on film, see where the butterflies sticking out.
Yeah.
You need daylight where my fingertip is. If these aren't shut properly, this will still show, but there'll be no daylight there.
Yes.
You must have where my finger is showing, even if it's at night. Well, it won't be daylight then, but it'll be a gap.
Yeah.
That's what you want there. And that's open, so that's fair enough. So around this side, now be careful of that, but you've got the isolation cock. That one is the main res pipe coupling cock equivalent on a 377.
That's
on
the
these,
main res. That's Mr. Ick, isn't it? That one? Yeah.
And that's got air going through that.
Okay.
There. Good. Right, so it's main res isolation cock. The drum switch, if you can have a look,
It's here.
Couple or uncoupled position.
Yep.
Does the same job as what we discussed on the 377.
Yep.
So you could move that, but it's easy to move that because it sees a handle on it, up or down. What is very vulnerable about it is things can hit that and knock it. The uncoupled position, which will mean that is looking for a voltage of a unit that's not here.
Yeah.
So that'll put the brakes on. So one of the things in the I'm able to release the brakes of 313 is pressing uncouple. But when you do that on these, you must stick it in emergency.
Yep.
Also, unable to take power, you press uncouple. Obviously stop first, put in emergency, press uncouple, because the interlock going through there and all.
Yep.
So if you knock that round to couple, this is looking for a longer set of wires, which blatantly ain't here because there's no unit here. So by knocking it round to uncouple, that's sealing that off again.
So would you lose interlock as well then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. So the manual uncouple I just did without the bar. We don't bother with this, that's where the straight goes.
Yep.
Good. It's a 313 and we have all two series. The 313 1 series are ones that are scrapped on the Great Northern.
Right.
But we have the 2 series, Forward facing camera there. Which you haven't got on the 377s. We did on the 387, but you're not officially learning those yet.
Okay.
Good. Right, and that's all we want to talk about in the front. Coach is called.
This is the Demos A,
What's giving
compressor.
I can see it and I can hear that ticking noise, which is that
spitting spiral wax.
So that's the air coming out of the main res.
Okay.
That's the main res tank, So this coach is the emergency egress for getting in, but also we use it as a cab door, don't we?
Yes.
Good. Nice. Good. We don't use that trick cock res isolating cock, not fitted anymore. It's for the underground system.
Okay.
If you were to spad on the underground, a little arm come up from the ground by the red signal. So when the signal's red, the hydraulic arm pushed up.
Yep.
And if you spad it, the trick cock would knock this cock hanging down here that put the brake on.
Okay.
So you have to isolate it if you're authorised to pass a signal of danger, wouldn't it?
Right.
Yeah, nice. Air conditioning in there. Only for the cab, the passengers don't get any unfortunately. So what's in there then on the axle?
The motor.
Yeah. How many motors on a 3?
8.
Yes. Do you know the horsepower per motor?
Is it 100 and?
Yeah,
10?
110.
Yeah.
So say 80 for the unit.
Yeah.
So the current limit index for the unit is going to be
4.
Yeah, definitely. Nice. So what's that one?
That's the secondary suspension.
Where's the isolating cock for?
Isolating cock is No.
Not outside. Where's all the ice?
Oh yeah, of course. In the ASM.
All in
Air supply.
seats are set
Yeah.
too. And one of the questions in the written exam is, other than the coke, the angle cocks on the end, what are the other external isolating cocks? And the answer is main res isolating cock, so obviously the compressor, sound system one, and that's it.
Okay.
Everything else is inside under the
Main
seat.
res and sound system.
Don't
Okay.
forget, brake isolating cock isn't an isolating cock, actually. It's to fix dragging brakes, not to sort out bursts.
So that last bit again.
It's to fix dragging brakes, isn't it? BIC.
Yeah.
So it doesn't count as an isolating cock, really.
Okay.
Isolating cocks are what we use to fix bursts on the systems.
Okay.
So if you want to write in that answer in the 313 test what isolating cocks are on the outside, important one's main res isolating cock, just to stop the air leaking out the main res, or the plumbing on the compressor.
Okay.
Also outside is the sound system isolating cock, and if you want to add in on that answer, because it's only me marking it, is the brake isolating cock for dragging brakes.
Right.
They're on the outside.
Okay.
For actual fixing bursts, everything's on the inside, except the one for the main res tank, which
Right.
is by the compressor. So to isolate that, a hole in it, or a hole in that, because what tank's this?
That is the surge tank.
Yeah, it is. So you do acids, don't you?
Yeah.
Acids are under the seat.
Uh-huh.
These are not for us. These are drain cocks. They're just to drain moisture out.
Right. Okay.
Because they say compressed air creates heat and moisture. That's that. Good. What's this one?
The variable load valve.
Good. All this gear here then.
So that's the shoe gear. So you've got the height limiting bar, shoes at the bottom, hot nuts.
Yeah, all of these brackets are low. Hot nuts indeed, and then you've got the shoe cable, shoe lead, sorry, to there. That's where you hope it breaks off cleanly.
Okay.
Round to side lead. What's the fuse called?
Shoe fuse or ribbon fuse.
And then it goes into this. Power unit line.
Yeah.
We can actually see it.
Okay.
Yeah, good. So everything we speak about shoe damage on this, same as 377.
Yeah.
Fire on all this equipment, same as 377.
Yep.
All this stuff, the same procedures.
Yep.
The only issue is if you take out that as a clean brake, as you know, bear in mind gaps.
Yeah.
But you're going to get a lot more gaps with only 3 shoes left.
Yeah.
Whereas a 377, you'll have 7 shoes left.
Yeah.
That's cool. If though it's a fire on all the power unit line now, how many shoe fuses do we have to take out?
2.
Right, so then you re-energise the power unit line, fire restarts. Why is that?
Oh, because there's two fuses on the back still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
any
got to take them all out.
shoe
Yeah.
in
Okay.
contact will energise the power unit.
Yep.
Yeah, so all
Okay.
4 shoe fuses out in case of the 3 ones. Yeah. Good. Right, obviously, yeah, nice. So we do call this the traction package.
Yep.
So in there's your camshafts, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Your reversers.
Yep.
And this one is what?
Is heating.
Yeah. Good. Right, name the tanks then. You've got all these tanks on your house there. No.
So this is for doors,
Right.
suspension and brakes at the back. Big brakes.
Yeah.
Big brakes, dumpy doors, sausage suspension.
Far side, yeah. And what's the big tank on the back there?
That is the main res tank.
With the spitting spiral?
Yeah.
Good. So the main res isolating cock is on the other side.
Yeah.
Mr. Pick on a 377, Mr. Ick on one of these.
Right. Okay.
The same job, they stop a burst on the main res tank or the plumbing on the compressor.
Right. Okay.
So if you do get a burst on the main res or the plumbing on the compressor, isolating the main res isolating cock on the other side will fix it. But then you've got to turn the compressor off because there's no point in running over the top of a burst.
Yep.
So can you remember how to turn the compressor off on one of these?
Sync and go.
Yeah, excellent. You get better. Good. Burst on the doors, what would we then do?
Well, turn it off for 30 seconds.
Well, you don't know it's on the door, then that's what you would do. So
Yeah.
any burst, then off for 30 seconds, see
Yeah.
if it dies, but if
Yeah.
it doesn't reinstate. Well, we've got your advanced level now.
So we got.
You know it's the doors.
Yeah.
So what would you do when you've rectified the burst?
You would. Well, assuming that's what it is, you would lock the doors, empty the coach, label up the doors, and turn the lights off.
Yes. If it was the brake system that had the burst on, so that's the brake res. Have we got any EBS requirement?
No.
Definitely not. So actually, it's just, hey, I fixed the burst. I've lost one coach worth of brake force. It's a free car. How fast do we go?
You drive to the capabilities of the brakes that you have.
Yeah, driving the braking capabilities, keep for the job. And running brake tests will be accurate on one of these because there's only 15 brakes fitted.
Okay.
So that's a big brake, dumpy doors, sausage suspension. Well, if you've got a burst in that, we all know 45 would be a minute. And line speed without. Good, so what is that item with the equipment?
That's the compressor.
Good. Definitely. This is a proper engine that turns the bellows that could create the air.
Okay.
But electric engine.
So surge tank, that's the WSP.
Just for the next person. Bit of lighting, yeah. WSP. Nice. Good. Anything orange is WSP on one of these. Good. So what we got here then?
That's the angle cock for cocking off the coach.
Excellent. Now there is a solid bar coupling.
Yep.
So we know our 377s have solid bar couplings, but you can't see them. But here is one you can see on the 311.
Okay.
Has to be unbolted. Cool. So that's why we can comply with the rule book of brakes not working on leading or rear coach, because it says in the rule book if the vehicles are fitted with solid bar coupling, you can run okay because it ain't going to break away.
Yeah.
Just do the speed brake regs that we spoke of. Yeah, good. Right, what's that button up there for?
That's to block out the doors on that coach.
Good. So this one, there's room to get the door open.
And it's just this door, isn't it?
That door.
Yeah.
There.
Okay.
Now, as it goes, so the ones on the driving coaches are the driving cab doors.
Yep.
The one on the middle coach will be on the other side of this end. So it's always near a end.
And it's always the closest doors to you that it's opening, isn't it?
So always a end, then you find this, and on the other side, then it's always the nearest door.
Yep.
That's for getting in an emergency, or using these if you want to use them for evacuations, or maybe an overshoot or something like that. But every door set's got them on the inside to get out.
Yep.
Which is great, that's all right. Good, he may ask you, out of interest, do you know what the arrows are on each coach?
It's... I can't remember, is it the first... Something to do with the first axle? I can't remember.
Number one wheel, number one axle, number one bogey.
Right.
All the ones. So that means that must be number two bogey down there.
Okay.
That must be number two axle, because it's number one axle, so number three.
And this is per coach?
Yes.
So it has the same thing on that as well?
Arrow on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one knows, but it's just a white arrow, you can't see it. Well, so the name of this coach
is the Pitos.
Yeah, good. The
pantograph trailer open standard.
Yeah.
That's the jack up point.
Is there any motors in here?
No.
No motors on here at all. That's what the T stands for, the trailer, isn't it? So what's this part?
That is the surge tank for the suspension, secondary suspension.
Yes, it is. Good, so if you had a hole in that, would you isolate it?
How would you isolate it? In the ASM?
Yeah, definitely. Good, that is just pure for weight now.
Pantograph equipment,
Transformer. 25 kV down to the line voltage that we would use, which is the 750.
So why haven't they taken these off?
Keep the weight, it's got
and put on ballast bars,
Because these were born with these.
Okay.
These 377s modularised, and some of them we ordered didn't need pantographs, some of them do.
Yeah.
But these were all built with pantograph because that's what they were designed for. Dual voltage. Yeah. Good. So that item of equipment, as you can see, is the width of the coach is easy to see there.
Okay.
What's actually in it?
The Is that the heating?
Yeah. Heated.
Yeah.
3 sets of tanks again, which we discussed on the last one.
So big brakes, stumpy doors. So big brakes, stumpy doors, suspension at the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does the next coach have all those tanks?
Yes.
Yeah, every coach. Just won't see them very easily. This one, the one with wing nuts.
Logic box.
Yeah. Good. Shed socket.
Shed socket.
So these concertina things are
The suspension.
good. Good.
And so these are called dampeners as well, Tim, aren't they?
Vertical dampeners.
Vertical
Yeah.
dampeners, okay.
But notice these haven't got those horizontal yaw ones.
Because they're not high speed.
Not
Or high
100
speed,
mile an hour.
variable low bow.
Yeah, not over 100 mile an hour.
Not a shed socket.
Little black. There's a button behind the black seal. It's on the cover, isn't it?
Yeah.
Black just shuts the doors on one coat.
Uh-huh.
Stores underneath there. Yeah. Name of coat.
This is the Demos B
Yeah. B door.
battery.
There it is. Battery.
Wow, what a difference in size.
Yeah. It is. In there, battery fuses. Don't even know the rest of it. Battery fuses. So every coach has got this. Which is what?
The brake isolating cock.
Yeah. Used to fix what?
Dragging brakes.
So what's the symptom of a dragging brake? You're driving along.
Well, you'd feel it not responding to power as it should do. It was
right, so it doesn't
taking.
Yeah. So when it shut off, what would you expect to happen normally?
The brake gauge goes to 0.
That should already be at 0. You're shutting off power. What normally happens when you shut off power?
Coast.
Yeah, you coast. And if there's a dragging brake, what's not going to happen?
You're not going to coast.
Not as well, you'll
Yeah.
still coast. So yeah, it doesn't coast freely, is how the rule, that DVD says. Also unable to develop full power.
Right.
And if you have a dragging brake on one of these, for example, get down Falmer Bank, if you
Yeah.
set off at the top of Falmer Bank, you gain about 20 miles an hour from top to bottom to shut off the right place. But if it didn't gain that, in fact you were going down Falmer Bank and not gaining any speed, it's a dragging brake.
Yeah.
So you get yourself into Lewis, you'd ring up the signal and say, I've got a dragging brake, I know how to fix it. I'll ring you when I fixed it.
That's the parking brake.
Right. Ring fleet next, let's do something else. You've got another question, so in
Right.
multiple choice assessment. When must you ring fleet? The answer's within 4 minutes. The other 3 credible answers in the multiple choice will throw you, so it's within 4 minutes.
Right.
The others sound right. But yeah, ring up fleet, say, got to have a brake, I know how to fix it, ring back when I've done it. Don't take over. You know how to fix it. Unless it's years to come and you've forgotten, then it's different, but there the thing is. So you'll then do, as you say, pace the parking brake,
Yeah.
then what was do?
Put the power handle, well, take the brake off,
Yeah.
and then you'd check all the brake gauges to see which one is displaying reading.
Whichever coach that is, there's your fix. And it's self-venting, so when you fix it, get back in the cab, release the parking brake, put the brake back on, so release the parking brake second, and then off you go. You've got to bear in mind those brake brakes. And that's good for a free car, easy, driving in the braking capability to keep full control of the truck. If this was attached to another, it's got to be a 6, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's 10 miles an hour below the 9 speed, unless you're 35 miles an hour.
Okay, so then with 2 coaches of brakes on these, you do a running brake test and you're going to get a proper feel
You
of...
will, because there's no dynamic braking. Yeah. Good. Use the other externalised brake cock.
Is that sound system?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same air system isolated.
Okay.
This is fairly possible to knock that and get a hole in it, and the main res burst leak might be enough for that to fix it.
Right.
But as usual, it's normally A6 brake. Not that, but I mean brake res.
Sorry, can you say that again? So if you get a leak in the sound system...
Yeah. On a
that isn't normally...
We say don't bother, it won't fix a leak.
Okay.
Because that is vulnerable enough and big enough that if it was to fall off, you might lose air enough to get the brake the brakes to jam on.
Right.
So it's a burst you need to fix. And as usual on all stock, we go ASICs, we do F1, or on the case of this, it's not F1, it's called Western.
Yeah.
If that don't work, we can cock off the coach. But on one of these, do try that as well.
Okay.
And if it stops it, then the rule book says if it's beautiful weather and you don't need to sand, carry on. Report at your convenience. If it's actually the weather you need sanding, then you mustn't carry on. Under instructions, you report immediately. What we need to do tomorrow after we've done the prep, because tomorrow's an easy day, we just do prep. Bit of revision if you want, but also want to make sure that you've just got those few questions under your belt that refer to what you report immediately and what you report conveniently. And I'll just do those tomorrow. Or today if you want me. But not out here, we'll find a good classroom or something. But yeah, on one of these, because the pipe's a bit more vulnerable, possibly it might fix the burst.
Okay.
Same system. Yeah, good.
So you've got to report that immediately.
If it's the weather you need sanding.
Yeah. And then what are they likely to say to you? Just trouble slowly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Or would they get taken out of service?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Or they might get assistance on the front and box you in.
Right.
Unless it's the back coach and assistance in the back. So all this looks glorified. It is another brake raft. This is all we're interested in, isn't it? That one. Good traction package, eating those ones.
Line switches?
Yeah, excellent. So fire on line switches, treat the same as a fire on any of the power unit line.
Yeah.
Emergency switch off, bar down, block the lines, get the reference numbers, deal with the fire, get the fire code if you need help.
Yeah.
Once it's all done, fault and failure, so you need then your emergency switch off to be converted to temporary isolation. Temporary isolation. Get the monitor to show you the voltmeters off. The bar's already down from the emergency switch off. Hand it over to him, formal registry office stuff, and then we need fitters. Why do we need fitters once you've dealt with this fire there?
To take out the shoe fuses.
Yeah, and how many?
There is 4.
Yeah, all of them. Because if you just leave one in, the whole power unit line will re-energise. Because that's what a power unit line is, a very simple wire linking all the shoes.
On that unit?
Yes, on that unit, well said. Yeah. Too ingrained and all the draw pictures of power unit lines. Good, so there's part of the power unit line, there's that power junction box.
Okay.
Shoe fuse, side lead. Then you get down to here, then it becomes the shoe lead.
Right.
So it's all different names for the same bit of wire. Power unit line.
So that's 800 volts going through it.
Yeah, and all those live fixtures. What's the risk of this WSP?
Well, the fact it's blocking your step.
That's the issue. What's the risk with the door if there's no air in the unit?
It's going to flap as you.
Yeah, this run might be a problem here.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. What series is that 377?
That is a 1 series.
Yes, just the kind of. Good. Well, nothing to add.
No.
Good. What we come round here for is the little star of the tank here. What's that one?
That is a part of the other ones, is it? That is the main res tank, is it?
No, we've only got one main res tank, and that's at the A.
Yeah, of course it is.
But it's got those 2 words in its title. It's not the main res tank.
Oh, the auxiliary.
It's the only odd tank, and what makes me think it's odd is next to us another item of equipment, which is only one of, and that's the MA. Sort of association.
But you can't isolate. You said you can't isolate the average hospital, but there's a.
They're all just drain cocks, moisture.
Okay.
Any cocks pointing down are for fitters to drain moisture.
Right. Okay.
Nothing to do with that at all. I mean, we can do it and let moisture out if we want, but I'm not going to do it.
It's unnecessary.
And it's near that.
Yeah.
So that is an aux main res, but if you get a hole in it, you'll have to cock off the coach because you've got no subsystem to isolate. Because if you isolate doors, brakes, suspension, they're all subsystems.
Yeah, of
call them the short pipes because the long pipe runs the length of the train. Any pipes hanging off it to service different industries like brakes, doors, suspension, they're the short pipes.
So why is there an aux main res?
Like 377, so you've got an extra supply this end of the train, rather than dragging it all the way through.
Yeah.
Because the main res is at one end, isn't it? With the 377, the main res is actually in the middle pretty much, because the Potossel's either coach 2 or 3, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's only going to be a coach or two based, isn't it?
So I don't think really, why do they have an main res on the 377? Well, the reason is the nozzle usually
right.
So they put it there.
Okay.
But you could do without it, as we know. If you get a burst in that, isolate the Amrec on the 377 and carry on. Get a burst in that, you've got no isolating copper, so you've got to cop off the coach.
Okay.
So if you copped off this coach, can you drive from that cab?
No, but you can from the front.
Yeah,
well, you've got the compressor.
Excellent, yeah, very good. Is there any EBS problems?
No.
No, if you cop this off, what brake is stuck on?
The 5-kit brake.
Yeah, great. See,
And it's 10 to...
10
Right, let me think. So it's 10 miles an hour for 2 miles and stop for 10 minutes.
Let it all cool down.
Yeah.
Once they hit, let the carpet brakes cool down.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All the sanding hoses are held by wire just so they don't drop down.
Okay.
You can see where they're all fed from that sanding box to the upper boost and that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Nice. So MA gives us 3 voltages, so what are those?
415
Yeah.
these, isn't it? And then 110 control and 230. Is that for the lights on these as well?
Yeah, and the plug sockets. Oh, big lights. That's go plug sockets.
Yeah.
But the 110 is the important one.
Control.
And the battery charger.
The battery, yeah.
And what's the 400?
The resistor cooling fan.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And that is the main important thing. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. That one there, don't worry about it. It's got a bit of battery and it's nothing to do with us now.
Okay.
What we'll do is shoes up, shoes down for business for the aux compressor.
Cool.
These would have had an aux compressor to raise the pantograph
Okay.
that runs off a battery, but they removed it and it was in that frame there.
Right.
It was external. So obviously if these have got
Did it sit inside it?
Yeah, it's just a little compressor. But the thing is, if one of these haven't got retractable shoes, it's the pantograph that's retractable.
Yeah.
So if you had one of these, no air, because it's been berthed for days, how are you going to get the pantograph up? You don't stand on the roof and lift it, do you? You need to put a compressed air to push it up, and that came off of that little compressor in that framework, runs off the battery. So we do the same with our modern 3775 cars. We run a small compressor off the battery to lower the shoes. And I'll do
That's
that
in the
again tomorrow.
Potossel, isn't it?
Yeah. In the cupboard that I said if it wasn't, they could put a shot in there.
Yeah.
See the egress again is this side, is A end. So you haven't got an egress to get the doors open on the outside at the B end for the middle coach. But you have an A end.
Right.
But obviously internally every door's got an external or an internal egress to get externally.
Yep.
Yeah. This is the other thing. We'll always this side of the MA will always have the main res.
Right.
So if we get a hole in the main res tank or the compressor plumbing, what isolating cock are we doing?
This one here.
Which is called?
The Mr. Pitt. No, Mr. Ick.
Yeah, it's got no P in it this time. It's the same job as a 377. So if you isolate that, turn off the compressor as well, as you said in the cab seat and go. Would you be able to drive from that cab?
No. Oh yes, you can. Just control, isn't it?
Where would you get compressed air from?
If there's an air burst.
Yeah, under this coach, air burst. You try that one and see if it fixes it. If it does, sink and gov it and get assistance for a new compressor.
Yep.
If it doesn't, reinstate it. What other subsystems have we got?
You've got the air suspension.
Yeah, if we know about that. If that
Then
don't work,
West
reinstate.
cones.
West cone, if that works, drive within the braking capabilities, no EBS problems.
Yep, and doors.
Good, try doors if that works, not label and lights, as you said earlier.
Yep.
Sound system might fix it,
Mhm.
which is there. If it doesn't, what's your last option?
Cocking off the coach.
Good, and if you cock off this coach, can you drive from that cab?
What, with assistance or as is?
As is.
No, because there's no compressor.
No, good. Can you drive from that cab as is? You've cocked off it. No, this is completely airless in this coach. No atmosphere at all. Reminds me of a nightclub once in Plymouth. I loved it though. I had a good time because there's nobody there. I don't like crowds.
Kind of defeats the object of going to a nightclub,
it's
isn't
good
it?
music.
Oh, okay, fair
Decent
enough.
light show.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that, but the point being is there's no actual atmosphere. Apart from the kept pressing the button and dropping dry ice all over the place, which is good fun. There was a few there, but about 20. Anyway, so you'll have to get assistance.
Yep.
Now, if that was your leading cab and you cock this coach off and the signaller says, well, I still want you to go that way, you'll say, right, signaller, the deal is if you want me to go that way, I can have assistance on the back. But how are you going to control that then? So assisting 313 on the back, this is cocked off, so there's dragging parking brake.
Yeah.
Competent person in that cab to relay the signals to the driver driving from down there.
Right, so that again, so we're going this way, are we?
We're going that way.
Yeah.
That's your original leading cab.
Yeah.
Signaller says, well, I can't get assistance on the front, but there's a queue of 313s behind you, that'll have to do. You'll go, yeah, that's fine. Don't forget the signaller doesn't know traction, but you can do that. So you get assisting 313 on the rear, so that'll be down there. Now you draw 6 boxes, cocked off front coach. Can't drive from there because there's no air to get to that cab, to the main res governor. Can't get the brake off. That's the whole technical reason. That you just think, right, compressor between you and the burst. No compressor because I've cocked it off. So that cab is inoperative, but you still need to go that way. So which cabs are operative? Now you've got this 6 car.
Well, the front cab of the
Yes.
back 3.
Excellent. So you drive from in there. So your assisting driver will drive in that way. You sit up the front, relaying single, yellow, red, or with getting near the station, whatever signals you need. Does the horn work? Can you blow the horn if someone's in the way?
No, because there's no air.
No. Does the windscreen light work?
No.
No air for that because you have air for our windscreens. So you're a bit stuff. So what sort of speed would you go?
Well, you've got a dragging parking brake, haven't you?
Yeah.
So it's got to be, that's 10, and then it's 5 because, well, how do you, well, there's no way of stopping in that leading cab, is there?
Right, does the emergency brake destroy the continuity wire if you put it in emergency?
Oh yeah, it's not EBS, is it?
Yeah, excellent. This is nice, this is top level stuff now. So yeah, you don't have to worry about the parking brake speed that the rule book says, which is 5 miles an hour.
Okay.
You're doing the dragging parking brake speed, which is 10 miles
So
an hour.
you're 10 to 10.
Yeah, excellent. And if you see, oh shit, I've got to stop, just stick it in emergency and it will stop the train.
Okay.
Lucky it's 10 because the horn's broke, so maximum speed if there's no
20.
horn is 20. The suspension is broken, but that don't matter because it's nowhere near 45 miles an hour. The doors will have to be locked on here because there's no air for them. So just think of all that consequence of copying off that coach.
Okay. So you're still locking the doors out if you weren't in service?
No, but I'm always saying this happens and you've got people all around. You've got to get to a station, haven't you? So you move them all out of here, lock label and lights the doors, or at least lock them.
So just whack them all in the back unit.
And those 2 coaches. That's just the front coach that's got no doors.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because air will get through to that coach when it coming from the rear unit.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the one that's cocked off, isn't it? From that end.
Just this one.
Yeah.
So So everything I've just said there, you happy with the principles and understanding?
Yeah,
That's what I'm after. That is excellent.
I didn't feel I did, but having this 377 has given a little bit back to me, I think.
Yeah, people said that. First day of 377 it froze them completely, which they hadn't. But I'll tell you, it does gel by adding a little bit more similar information from another type of train.
Yeah, because it is, I mean, I know Chris and Mike said it's completely different, but it isn't. It's a lot of the same principles and speeds, and with regards to the compressor and having a compressor between you and the burst and all these sort of things as well. So, yeah.
I think we've had superb chats today about this, and you've got it.
No, I feel much better about it.
But we haven't finished yet. We'll walk through the inside, which is a nice, easy walk. But just to finish off this scenario, and just to make sure you're aware, you can drive from that cab down there forward facing, Robert saying forward facing cab, which is great. If though you cocked this off and they said, oh, we can get a 313 on the front, that's even better, isn't it? 313 up the front, drive from the leading cab, normal, but you're still dragging this parking brake. But also you'll be dragging that parking brake and the one down. The whole unit, parking brakes will be jammed on because you can't get any air through anything. But it's still that same speed.
10 to 10.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the thing about a 377 that I haven't really said, but it's important to point out, if you had this similar scenario with a 377, so you cocked off the leading coach, you can't drive from it, EBS doesn't work, that's the reason. You've given me all the technical reasons why, but it's fine. So you attach a unit on the rear, you can't drive from intermediate cabs on 377s. My track won't let you.
Right.
Because as soon as you press couple button, it configures as whatever length of train it is, and you can't release the brakes.
Right.
So with 377, although it sounds a bit more restrictive, it's so easy. It's either very back or very front. And if it's very front doesn't work, it has to be the very back, wrong direction move, or drive backwards, sticking someone there, or assistance on the front.
Right.
It minimises your options, which is actually quite nice. If you have sometimes with less choice, it makes life easier than having a lot of choice. So yeah, that's what I was going to say. You can't drive from intermediate cab on a 377. As soon as you press couple, you can't release the brake.
Okay.
What you must remember though on a 377 is emergency position still works. That's for conductors to stop you, and OBS is definitely there. The only time that you can drive from an intermediate cab on a 377 is if you split the blocks. So there's no control voltage, then you could do it. Right. And then that's called dead hauling. Which is easy to do, dead hauling. That's when everything we've taught you for the last few weeks fails and you just dead haul it.
That's not something that hauling is in pulling.
Pushing or pulling. Okay. But hauling's the word. But dead hauling is that much easier. The good train turns up, couple up mechanically. This could be this or 377. Don't couple up the electrical. With a 313 you can't help it. It still couples. Just don't press the drum switch button, which is called couple, and then it's dead. So it's two separate trains in that the coupling's made, so mechanically you're one whole train, but the brainwaves doesn't go from the good one to the bad, which is detrimental to what you want to do. But the good side to it is the bad brainwaves don't go to the good one, so you're not spreading the fault. So you take the brake off, take power, whatever in the assisting train, it won't release the brakes on the bad one, will it? Because you're not sending the messages through the coupling. So how do you get the brakes off on the dead thing? You've got to release them using the bits by hand before you go. So for dead hauling, couple up the assistance, don't couple up the brain waves, don't press couple button, nothing like that. Go to every coach and do the bits to get the brakes off. Same as a 377, but it'll be called BCIC, won't it? And then go. And you are actually pushing completely dead train, or pulling it, depends on which end your assistance comes from, but you're not spreading the fault to the assisting train, which is good. But on the bad side of it, you can't control the dead train because you're not sending control messages through the 110 volt jumper or block. So in order, that don't matter, we don't care, but we can't send the brake release command, can we? So you manually brake release every coach and then go, and you'll be dragging the parking brake.
Right, okay.
Because you haven't sent a brake release command.
Right. And then you're 5 miles an hour, are you in that?
If you're dead hauling, no, it's just dragging parking brake speed. 10 miles an hour.
Right.
Yeah, because why would you be 5? Because you're not pushing it along.
Okay, so what is the 5? Why would you be doing 5 miles an hour? That's if you've got on a 377, you got the doors are sitting. I can't think what the term is.
Out of gauge.
Out of gauge, and you're passing another train or an obstruction.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And is that the only time you were doing 5?
No, the other time on any type of train around the UK is if you are pushing the train along, so you're driving from other than the leading cab.
Oh, and the parking brake is
the only way of stopping it.
Okay.
Yeah. You have a question which says about that. What's the maximum speed if the parking brake is the only method of stopping the train? That's the 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
It also says what's the maximum speed if you're driving from other than the leading cab, but parking brake isn't the only way of stopping the train, meaning the brake handle would stop it.
Yeah.
Then there's no set speed. It's at caution.
Yeah. Okay.
The other one that's in there, so this is several questions we're covering here, is what's the maximum speed if you're propelling? Now that's 20. But you can't propel as an electric train driver on the southern region because you've always got a leading cab.
Yeah.
Whether the cab's working on that, don't matter, it's still eyes and ears cab.
Okay.
So he should, someone said him, remove the propelling question. It doesn't need to be there, it just confuses the issue. But the question's still there. So what's the maximum speed you're propelling? 20.
20, okay.
Now propelling, well, you can't do it because even if this cab was defective and you're driving from the back, someone sits in there as your eyes and ears, say stop or go, or buzz, or buzz, or whatever, or buzz to set back.
Yeah.
When we're train drivers of other types of trucks where you're just a locomotive, where you haul all your coaches along, or wagons, you can also push them back the way you come. That's propelling, because there's no leading cab at the back of a freight train, is there?
No.
Or the back of the Orton Express or whatever you're pulling along. The locomotive haul drivers sometimes have to propel. Imagine single arm working where you go in and you have to change ends and go back over some point. Well, you can't do that with a steam engine. You have to propel, push all the coaches back, change ends and go through the single arm working. So it's in there, 20 mile an hour max.
Okay.
But we'll climb in and have a walk through if you
Cool,
like.
yeah.
If you're calm, not in a rush.
No, I'm okay. I'm good.